Live from the Stream Center, this is WFLA News, now at 11.
And welcome to the Stream Center this Tuesday. Yes, the rain continues in parts of the Bay Area. I'm Stacey Scheibel.
And I'm Beth Russo. I've been singing the Rain, Rain, Go Away song, I feel like, for weeks at this point. Amanda Hawley's going to be here in just a second to get a quick check of your forecast.
And your comment now, this story involves the life of Gabby Petito. We are honoring her this morning, and we are thrilled that her mother and stepfather will be joining us live to talk about the Gabby Petito Foundation. This week marks the anniversary, the 4th anniversary of Gabby's death. So we'll have much more on that coming up shortly.
That's right. But first things first, we want to go ahead, check in with Amanda Hawley right now. Amanda, when are we going to put the sunshine back in the Sunshine State?
I know it. Tomorrow, we will finally see some sunshine. Briefly, unfortunately, we're going to get a break from our pattern, but only for a couple of days. But today, not that day. We have this cold front that is dropping down to the southeast. Unusual for this time of year. That's why we're seeing so much clouds and so much rain out there. It's another day where those downpours are rolling from west to east across the state. Right now, it's a lot of light rain down in Sarasota County. We do have some heavy rain, even some lightning and thunder off the coast of Pinellas. So not a great beach day, I know. And we're going to keep those rain chances high as we head into the rest of the afternoon, bringing them down this evening. Just like the past few days, we do generally dry out as the sun goes down. We're mostly dry overnight, but tomorrow I really don't increase our rain chances but to a 20%. Unfortunately though, with today's rain, because we've seen 4 to 6 inches along the coast just within the past week, we got another flooding potential. It's a low threat here, level 1 out of 4, but it's there because our grounds are saturated. The rain that falls just has nowhere to go. Outside of that, it's gloomy and it is muggy out there as well. We'll talk about tomorrow's sunshine and how long it's going to last coming up here in just a few, guys.
All right. Thanks, Amanda. Your must-see now stories, starting with breaking news. News Channel 8 has just learned that former USF head football coach Jim Leavitt has been arrested in Pinellas County. He is charged with battery, grand theft, and domestic battery. According to the arrest report, he is accused of grabbing his ex-girlfriend by the arm as she tried to walk away and pushing her. He's also accused of taking her Louis Vuitton purse, clutch, and wallet. He is currently in jail in Pinellas County. He was the head football coach at USF from 1997 until 2009. He was fired in 2010 after an investigation by officials found he had struck one of his football players in the locker room during the halftime break of a football game.
And he's actually the winningest coach in USF's history. So I know a lot of folks, Stacey, going to be following up on that. Very early stages of this investigation. So, of course, expecting plenty of updates on this one. I want to go ahead and talk about right now in Tampa. Governor Ron DeSantis just wrapped up speaking with FDOT. You can see on the podium there, it says traffic congestion relief. He just announced that they're going to be doing an expansion of I-275 in Pinellas County. This is going to take folks from the Howard Franklin Bridge, which we know can be a headache. They just opened some new express lanes there all the way into downtown St. Pete. So this is going to be a huge, huge project for them. He said it's expected to be the largest in the region and will serve as a major hurricane evacuation route. So kind of a dual thing here. They're going to get congestion out of here on the work days over the weekends when folks are trying to get from Hillsborough over to Pinellas County, but also in case a storm hits, this is going to serve as another evacuation route. A lot of work being done on the Howard Franklin.
And crews in Tampa started removing street art this morning in an effort to comply with a newly signed Florida law. It bans art on intersections, sidewalks, crosswalks, shoulders, and all lanes, calling the art you're seeing on the screen here a safety hazard. With a September 4th deadline now looming, 47 different areas in Tampa will have to be scrubbed clean. State leaders say if the art is not removed, funding for road-related projects and maintenance could be withheld as punishment.
And that really has a chokehold on some of our local governments because it's not just here in Tampa. Just yesterday, St. Pete Mayor Ken Welch says, hey, city doesn't necessarily agree with this move, but we can't afford this millions of dollars in funding cut that could come because of it. So they're going to have to comply. Going to see how everybody does to meet that deadline on September 4th. All right, customers of Southwest, if you're a fan, get ready because they're soon going to require plus-size passengers who don't fit within those armrests of the seats to purchase an additional seat in advance of boarding that flight. So a lot of folks are concerned about this. As it stands right now, they can secure that extra seat up front kind of free of charge, 2-for-1, if you will, basically just letting them know that they're going to need that. This new policy, though, sparking debate among many because of the financial burden, and also saying it's a little bit unfair that some people would have to do this. There's already a stigma in the aviation industry if someone is a little bit larger and don't necessarily fit very well in those seats. That rule going to go into effect on January 27th, the same day as the airline's going to start assigning seats to passengers, which we know that got some heat as well, Stacey, whenever they announced that.
And this new, they're calling it the Shape Up or Pay Up Southwest policy, is getting a lot of traction.
Is that the actual name of it?
No. That's what it's being dubbed online.
Oh, no. I was like, that I can see why. But dubbed online.
Good. Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of talk about it. There's a lot of traction already. If you want to comment on this, you can go to WFLA.com/comment, because we'll be talking about it in our later newscast today, no doubt. And as we head into Labor Day weekend, it's going to get busy on the beaches. So I do hope Amanda has the rain moved out for us then. There is an emergency beach renourishment project underway in Indian Shores. Pinellas County crews are replacing 2 million cubic yards of sand, enough to fill 15,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Now, most of the beach in Indian Shores will remain open, but multiple parking areas are going to be closed. Keep that in mind if you're heading to the beach for Labor Day weekend.
And I just got to be honest, this feels like another hit for them. They've had such issues as far as getting things reopened post-hurricane there. So that's something that's really tough for them.
And this is a live drone shot. We put drone 8 up to show you what the beach looks like right now. That's actually a great weather shot when we touch base with Amanda in the next block.
But what we want to do right now, take you to our Comment Now story. We're going to talk to you about Gabby Petito, a massive outpouring of support online this week as we remember 22-year-old Gabby Petito. 4 years ago, if you remember, law enforcement says Petito was strangled to death at the hands of her fiance during a cross-country road trip. The two left from Northport, where that huge manhunt ensued a little bit later. They left there in June. On August 12th, they reported a domestic dispute in Utah. Police believe that Gabby actually died on August 27th, 2021 in Grand Teton National Park. That is in Wyoming.
Gabby's parents, of course, very outspoken advocates. They are fighting for, reforms, legislative reforms against domestic violence, and they have formed the Gabby Petito Foundation. And we are honored to have Gabby's mom and her stepfather, Nikki and Jim Schmidt, joining us here live right now. And Nikki, I know you guys live in Riverview. We have always covered this story wholeheartedly because just looking at those pictures of Gabby, I know it's choking you up. And as a mom, I can imagine every day is difficult, but the anniversary tomorrow might be especially difficult. Tell us about Gabby.
I didn't think I was going to get emotional, but it's been almost 4 years, and we miss her very much.
Clearly very, very difficult. So much emotion from our viewers and our community, not only when this case was happening, but also as you continue. You guys have taken steps as far as getting legislation passed. Talk to us about how you're honoring Gabby in that way.
Yeah, it's something that we felt like we had to do. And I know recently we had the lethality assessment passed here in Florida, and we're working on that. Joe is heading to New York soon to fight for that there as well. So that that's where Gabby grew up. And we're hoping that they get that passed across the state. We have a first responder training program that we are now doing across the country. And, there's so much going on.
Are you busy with it every day? Is this something that you guys are? I see the monarch butterflies behind you, and that was something special to remember Gabby by. And just seeing that video of her being so carefree, she just seemed like the kindest, gentlest soul.
She really was. And that last picture on her Instagram was right here in front of this wall. And we got to visit this wall in 2022. And it was very, very emotional when we got there, knowing that that was kind of her last goodbye to the world on Instagram. But, we were honored to be able to visit, and we'll carry her spirit with us in everything we do. We know lives are being saved. We get messages every day that, people are doing things in honor of Gabby, and their lives are being saved because they inspired them to leave a relationship or go out there and be advocates. And we feel like Gabby's changing the world. And yeah.
Before we wrap things up with you guys, we really want to get to some of the viewer comments just so you can hear some of that support that really is coming through online. It was covered so closely on social media as well as so closely just online in general. Angelina Hagedorn says, I can't believe it's already been that long. We also want to get to Audrey Abbott. My heart hurts for the Petito family, but I am so proud of them for standing up for their daughter. Gabby deserves the gospel truth. We all love you, Gabby. What is it like for y'all, just in closing out last couple of seconds, to hear that type of comment on your daughter?
It just shows us the impact that she's had across the world, actually, not just the country, and it helps fuel us to keep going each and every day. These aren't the milestones that you're supposed to be celebrating in your children's lives at all, but it's the unfortunate reality we face every day. But to see messages like that and to receive the emails and text messages that we get, or messages through social media, it just helps show us that we're going in the right direction. We're continuing to fight for her and share her voice, even though she doesn't have one anymore.
And if people want to go to the Gabby Petito Foundation website, they can learn more about that. We are happy to continue to help her light to shine brightly and to shed light on who she was, instead of just what happened to her, but also how she's continuing to help people even though she's no longer with us. Do you have any closing thoughts?
I just want to thank WFLA. You guys have been like family since day one throughout this whole process, and all your viewers who have been so supportive, and everybody out there who continues to support and advocate. Thank you.
We want to go ahead and take you to your comment now story. Tampa police are searching for people riding bikes and scooters. You can see it in some of this aerial video. They're weaving in and out of traffic. This was from earlier this week. Now, the TPD helicopter video, that's where this footage is from. It shows them blocking intersections as well at South Howard Avenue Wednesday night. Drivers we spoke to say that they were swarmed by the bikes, and some of them actually damaged their cars.
Now, in this particular incident, 4 people were arrested, 7 others were cited, and we are pleased to have former Tampa Police Chief Brian Dugan joining us this morning, because Beth and I are scratching our heads. We've heard that people sometimes record these. Is this a social media stunt?
Yeah, what's
it's
behind
dangerous.
Yeah, there's no doubt it's a social media stunt. Every city across the nation is dealing with it. I'm going to share my guilty pleasure of having an Instagram account, and I watched just a few minutes ago on Instagram this particular video that somebody posted. These have been going on for years. During my time as chief, we had these problems. I remember being chief, sitting in traffic before the Super Bowl in Ybor City, and the bicyclists then were just taking over 7th Avenue. But you look at some of the video here of popping wheelies, going down the sidewalk, that particular part there, that driver's going the wrong way against traffic. People, when they're in their cars, can easily get intimidated and flustered. It's dangerous. And these dirt bikes and motorcycles, these are not accomplished drivers. They, quite frankly, usually don't know what they're doing. I recall, my early days of being a street cop, you would hear a bolo about a high-speed motorcycle in the middle of the night going down Kennedy Boulevard. And not to be callous, but a lot of times I would just think to myself, well, we'll find him a couple miles down the road. And inevitably, that happened several times in my career, where a motorcyclist would be driving too fast and end up killing themselves. These things are very dangerous. It can cause, most of them are uninsured motors. And when they do damage to your car, you're usually on the hook. And then let's also not forget that the drivers in these cars can easily become distracted and end up hitting into other cars.
Yeah, there's no question that this is dangerous. We've been getting thousands of comments about this on Facebook. Nicole Medina Ferguson, she writes to us saying, I got swarmed by them near TGH. It was a mix of scooters, bikes, skateboards, you name it. Most of them were being safe. A few came too close to my car for comfort. When we're talking about this, the other big question that we had, you're allowed to ride your bike on the side of the road. When do you cross the line to where this becomes something that you can be arrested for?
Well, you're not supposed to go. You're right. You're almost considered like another vehicle on the road. But you do have to obey traffic laws. You're not allowed to weave in and out. That's for bicyclists. Dirt bikes that are motor propelled, that's a whole different thing. They have to have a license, and I'm willing to bet most of them do not have a registered Florida tag on that dirt bike.
Okay, I'm also wondering, it used to just be, man-powered bicycles and man-powered scooters, but now they're all motorized and they can go as fast as some vehicles. I mean, that's creating an even bigger problem. So when do they get pulled over? How do you handle one of these massive street takeovers when you've got hundreds of them?
Well, they're very difficult, and like you said, the e-bikes that are out there. I mean, they are really cool to ride, but you can pick up some speed on them. But they're very difficult to deal with. There's a lot of drama over police pursuits. Most agencies wouldn't pursue somebody like this. That's why you end up getting the helicopter involved and try and get the eye in the sky. But when you look at they were able to catch 4 people of how many people there, close to 200 is what they're estimating. It really becomes difficult. The police hands are tied. There is a certain, if you look at some of the comments on social media, there's a certain factor that will tell you, oh, who are they harming? And then there's another school of thought that says they're very dangerous. I'm on the school of thought that it's not only dangerous to other cars, they're very dangerous to themselves.
Absolutely something that drivers and other folks who are out and about need to be on the lookout for. Former Tampa Police Chief Brian Dugan with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
We appreciate your
Thank
time
you.
today. Thanks. And now we want to talk about the Cross Bay Ferry Service. If you're a fan, unfortunately, it's coming to an end. That vote just happened not long ago. The owners proposed using a slower, smaller boat to go between downtown Tampa and downtown St. Pete. Commissioners said that violated the contract. It was going to be a lot slower. And we found a local TikToker who was really pushing hard to keep the service. Let's listen in.
You get to downtown St. Pete in 55 minutes for First Friday? How do you beat that for $12? This is the best come up that Tampa has ever thought of. I'm afraid that it's going to be sold out every single weekend after I post this, but I don't care.
Yeah, and by the way, that service is no more. Our Beth Russo was at that meeting just minutes ago, and they decided to get rid of this service. Can you tell us a little more about that, Beth? A lot of people are going to be disappointed.
A lot of people so disappointed. I've been getting comments about it all morning long after posting the video to my Facebook. Just last 30 minutes, we were with the Hillsborough County Commissioners. They quickly approved this item, basically saying that on March 25th, that company that does provide the ferry service here, they say they're going to take that boat away, move it up north. They offered a smaller, slower boat to make that trip from downtown Tampa at the convention center over to St. Pete. Ultimately, though, they say they couldn't provide another vessel, even though they were given 10 days to do so. So that means they defaulted on their contract. So Hillsborough County Commissioners said this is a done deal. We got to go ahead and terminate this contract 5 months prior to when it would have been terminated. Obviously, probably would have been up for renewal, but that's not the case anymore. Last day for service on this is going to be April 30th. So you have until then to enjoy it. Make sure you get your tickets.
It is disappointing.
I know
but
you have a
do
little
few
more
days.
time.
Yeah.
We have a few more days, and I know why people are so disappointed about this. I was just looking up tickets to try and see if I could schedule one for myself. It's a good price. It's $12 one way, $24 round trip. Happens, I believe it's Wednesday through Sunday that they do these trips on the Cross Bay Ferry. It's a favorite for a lot of people because they have their bar on there. They can grab a drink, sit down, rest instead of sitting through that headache of traffic as you make your way from Hillsborough to Pinellas County, vice versa. So unfortunately, though, that's not going to be an option anymore for the time being.
So, Beth, what was the vote? Were they all in agreement on this, that we just can't move forward? I understand the slower boat was going to be a lot slower.
Slower boat was going to be a lot slower. This was actually approved as part of the consent agenda, so that means there were a number of items that were approved all at once by board members. So no specific count on who was yay or nay, just kind of pushed all of these measures through at once. So that's on the agenda. You can see the other items that were approved. But again, this is the one that was really catching people's eye because a lot of people do love to utilize that service, utilize that resource. And I know a lot of folks, including the TikToker that you guys heard from, are wondering whether or not a service like this will ever be provided again.
We're monitoring your comments on WFLA.com right now. In fact, we're going to throw the QR code back up there on your screen because this has been a talker. There are a lot of folks, both from Tampa Bay and who visit Tampa Bay, that love the Cross Bay Ferry, including Larry here. We'll go to this comment from WFLA.com. Sad to see it go. It was such a relaxing and scenic way to get between Tampa and St. Pete. We'll get to this one here from Jody as well. That is really too bad. Such a fun and convenient way to get into downtown Tampa, which, Stacey, we know with traffic, that can really be frustrating sometimes to get to downtown Tampa, especially when there are big events going on, like NCAA Women's Final Four that, Beth has covered
And I know,
in
JB,
recent weeks.
you took a trip on it.
Yeah,
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. I mean, the Cross Bay Ferry it showcases Tampa Bay. It's beautiful. So I think, Beth, people are naturally going to ask this question will we ever see a ferry come back to Tampa Bay in the future? Clearly, this contract in particular didn't work out. So where does this go from here now?
Well, so Hillsborough County says that they will not be at the helm of something like this ever again. So that is done for the time being. However, if you go on X, the city of St. Petersburg, obviously they play a role in this as well, because they're where that ferry is landing when it leaves the downtown convention center here in Tampa. So they say right now they are working with the Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority over there and trying to figure out a similar service that would make its way from downtown St. Pete to downtown Tampa. No word yet on a timeline for that. Obviously, this is still very early on. March 25th is when Hillsborough County commissioners were notified that boat would have to be swapped out. March 31st is when they were told absolutely no way that we can get a faster, bigger boat similar to the one that we already have down here. And then just 30 minutes ago is when they actually terminated that contract. So still in the very early stages of this when it comes to the city of St. Petersburg. Definitely something we're going to be reaching out to the city of St. Pete about today so we can get a little more information, maybe a little bit more of a timeline. That'll be in our later newscast today.
All right, Beth Russo, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We're disappointed to hear this. I'm sure tourists will be as well. We'll keep on top of it, though. Thank you.
We want to go ahead and get to our Comment Now story. It affects local homeowners that are worried they could soon lose their houses. Now, it's because of an unexpected debt owed to their roofing company, Jacksonville, Florida-based roof specialist. People tell us a salesman told customers that they would only have to pay the deductible and that insurance would cover the rest of it, but that is not the case.
That's all you'll have to pay. You'll have a year to pay that. If you don't pay that, then they'll put a lien on your house. Never nothing about extra.
Wow. Yeah, that's unexpected. You sign a contract. You think you've got a roof that's going to only cost you the deductible. I mean, it seems like a great deal. But joining us now, Shannon Benkin, of course, Better Call Benkin. And you've gotten a lot of calls on this. We have more than 100 homeowners concerned about this. Had you heard of this type of scenario before this?
Not exactly this kind of scenario. We hear from people from time to time that they end up having to pay more for any construction job, such as a roof. The people here tell me that there is fine print in these contracts that say that you would have to pay extras if they uncover damage. But people were thinking it would be things like extra wood if they find rotten wood under your roof, or if they need extra tarps, those sorts of things. But we're talking thousands of dollars. The lady that you just heard, she has to pay $15,000 more than her insurance company paid. And her insurance company already paid about $22,000 for the roof. You see the house there, it's 1,500 square feet. She tells me that it was $37,000, a little under $37,000 when all was said and done for this roof, and she's on the hook for $14,000 of that. And she says, as you heard her, she thought she was only going to have to pay her deductible. So to get that kind of bill, she's beside herself. She's not even sleeping.
Yeah, that's a big hit to someone's bottom line. Now, this has been getting traction online, Shannon. We want to go ahead and bring up some comments that our viewers have been posting. Crystal Amick says, never hire a contractor that shows up unannounced at your door. Nothing good ever comes of it. And then Raymond Rowbottom says, if the offer is too good to be true, ... Shannon, you've dealt with a lot of stories and investigations like this before. Have you found that to be true? If it is too good to be true, you should probably take a second and step back.
Well, you should always be leery when someone shows up at your door as this happened. If you need a new roof, then you need a new roof. So you should get multiple people to come out and inspect it and multiple estimates and compare those. Never sign right.
Oh, I think we lost Shannon there for a second. She's out on the road working on the roof story today. Shannon, are you still with us?
Looks like she's frozen.
She's frozen.
But this story affects so many people.
And we're going to have
area.
much more on it because she's following up on it today. Oh, she's back. Let's go back to Shannon.
I'm back.
Sorry. Okay.
Yes. Sorry. So we have, I just wanted to let everyone know, I spoke to the Attorney General's office. We're now up to 131 complaints that they're investigating. So they do have a consumer protection case ongoing, but we have to point out it's an investigation. We don't know what they're going to find. There are many lawsuits and liens that are filed in court records all across Florida, and particularly in Hernando and Pinellas and Pasco counties. I've been digging through those, and the majority of people seem to settle these cases. So they must feel when they get legal representation that they're going to lose. So they go ahead and try to settle the case because that fine print that I mentioned is there. But a lot of people are now questioning what they're being charged. And the lady that we are going to interview today for today's story says that there are things on her list like a porta potty. And she says that there was no porta potty at her house. Her neighbors were actually complaining that workers were using trees in their lawn.
Okay.
So she said there was no porta potty, and now she's being charged for it. So there's a lot of questions. These things have to be looked into, but the folks I'm talking to say that they're unable to settle because they don't have the money for this, and that's why they fear they're going to lose their houses.
Tough spot for them.
It really is. We appreciate you staying on it. I know they do as well. We look forward to hearing more later on today. Welcome back. We are your official Buck station, and today is a big deadline for the Pewter Pirates. They have to make their final cuts and get down to that 53-man roster. Joining us now is a Bucks legend, NFL Hall of Famer Rondé Barber, and our very own Eileen Natchek. Thanks, guys, for being here. And
how are you?
Rondé, we want to start with you. What are you expecting with these cuts? Is it pretty solidified? Do the guys know who's going to make it and who isn't at this point?
You know what? Yeah, that's a great question. We just finished up the Bucks preseason game 3 at home last 3 days ago. And I go into every preseason knowing that the majority of the players are set. And there's probably only about, 10, 11 spots that they're even really looking for, especially on a team that's as good and as, deep as this Bucks team is. So the expectation that a guy can come in the preseason and win a job is somewhat a little, kind of wishful thinking. A lot of these decisions are made in practice. They're made in the joint deals with other teams. And I think you go into this last preseason game hoping that you can make a splash and then make it hard for them to cut you. But you're pretty much right. Most of these decisions are already made.
Alrighty, and Eileen, I know you spent a ton of time at Bucks practices. You were at the preseasons game. Anyone offensively that you were particularly surprised got cut?
I think it came a little bit of a shock, right, with Kyle Trask. I mean, he's a fan favorite here in Tampa Bay, Gator alum, and with Teddy Bridgewater now as the new backup quarterback, which is pretty interesting. A lot of fans are excited about that. I'm excited about that, so I think he'll do a pretty good job. But as far as guys on the offense who, I don't want to say surprised me, but I loved seeing Tez Johnson. Rondé, I know you can comment on this in that last preseason game against the Bills. I mean, and then his flip. First of all, we didn't know he was a gymnast too. I mean, come on.
The world.
Yeah, so that was fun to watch. But you talk about Chris Godwin Jr. and then Jalen McMillan not starting the season because of injury. You have so many different weapons on offense that we can still kind of rely on. Tez Johnson being one of them, who really did a good job in the preseason.
Rondé?
Back that up.
He's like what she said.
Exactly what Eileen just said.
You know what? She also brought up Kyle Trask, and we got some viewer comments because he has been with us for a long time. He was a second-round draft pick for the Bucks. Brandon Jones says, hopefully he's been investing well. He's a genius. He's been collecting millions of dollars per year for like 4 years and didn't hardly have to play at all.
Wow.
Well, okay.
Oh my goodness.
Tell us how
I'll
you
be
feel,
Kyle
Brandon.
Trask these last few years all day. But then Chris Jones, we have to bring in Chris Jones. He says, I hope he lands in a good spot with a team who will give an opportunity to prove himself and that he capitalizes on it. Best of luck to Trask. So do you think Trask saw that coming? We knew Baker was going to be the starter, but then they brought in Teddy Bridgewater.
Right. So I think they brought in Teddy Bridgewater as a kind of an insurance. I think they originally planned to put Teddy on the practice squad, maybe use him as an emergency quarterback. But then Teddy went out and performed well. Teddy has a wealth of experience, man. He's been around for, I think this is his 10th year. Kyle's been in about 3 games, and he's thrown 11 passes. I think I mentioned that on the broadcast the other day. And I think Teddy just processes a little bit faster. I wish the best for Kyle. I got to know Kyle a little bit over these last 5 years. and I hope for his success someplace else. But I think when you're got a team like Tampa that has expectations to make a run into the playoffs, maybe win a Super Bowl, you don't want that position, the quarterback position, to be the reason that you don't make it, especially when you have as much talent as you do on offense. And so I think this decision became one of necessity for them because Kyle had a little bit of a struggle in preseason and training camp, and I don't want to say he played himself out of a job, but I think that they got really comfortable with the fact that Teddy Bridgewater has a lot more snaps under his belt